Paul says that the gospel that the Judaizers, he says that these individuals were promulgating a different gospel, and this different gospel is not really another. It's not really worthy of the name gospel. It's not really good news. It's not good news because those who are promulgating this gospel and those who are hankering after it are, by virtue of that, deserting him who called you. Paul doesn't think this is something that is up for grabs. Paul, in fact, gives no evidence that the Judaizers, or whatever this group of people is appropriately dubbed, gives no evidence that they denied the Trinity, no evidence that they denied the deity of Christ, the incarnation, the hypostatic union, Christ's two natures, his death, burial, resurrection. None of those things were being denied by these false teachers. And yet Paul says that the gospel they were proclaiming, which was contrary to the gospel of justification by faith, full stop, this gospel was such that those who believe it were deserting the one who called them by the grace of Christ. So, yes, this is a dividing line. This is a line in the sand. This is something that's definitional of that antithesis that God himself judicially imposed subsequent to man's fall in the garden. Remember when Adam and Eve, our first parents, fell, God himself imposed enmity between the seed of the woman, who would ultimately crush the head of the serpent, and the seed of the serpent. He says, I will put enmity between you and the woman and between your seed and hers. He will crush your head and you will bruise his heel. This antithesis runs all throughout the biblical record. The first psalm of the Psalter says, blessed is the man who does not sit, stand, walk, right, in the path or seat or what have you of the sinner. There's an antithesis between the righteous and the wicked. And this antithesis is part and parcel of what Paul is talking about here. Paul sees the gospel as part of the antithesis. You either believe this gospel or you don't. If you don't believe it, then you don't belong to God. If you do believe it, then you do belong to God.